We're super, super excited for the December 2013 version of Social Media Breakfast. We have an awesome speaker here today, Adam. He is taking photographs to new heights, literally. And we'll introduce him in a minute. Tony? Social Media Breakfast. Who's here for the first time? All right. It's good to see. Love to see new people interested in this field. Who are we? Education and networking are the two things that we try to focus most on. We're here to bring you great speakers, panels, case studies, anything to help you learn about social media and share with each other. And networking, of course. Bringing out the best social media enthusiasts in Madison, the professionals, entrepreneurs, anyone who's really interested in this field. So we meet every single third Wednesday of the month, 7:30, 9:30, and some location somewhere in Madison. Sometimes we repeat, sometimes we're in, sometimes we're outside of Madison a little bit. We're going to have a couple in Sun Prairie this coming year. And if you know any great locations that we could benefit from, or you know any good ideas for speakers, panels, anything, we are open to everything. And sponsors, everyone, there's a sponsor card you're all sitting on or it's next to you. Take a look at that. We're always looking for new sponsors, but we have great sponsors as well. We've had a tremendous support from the community. We have 11 board members now. As we become a 501c3, we call ourselves board members. And each one of these individuals is a tremendous part of putting this on. Starting right up at the top, we have Bill Hurley. He is a marketing and digital specialist with WEAC. He is our blog writer. He writes a tremendous recap of everything that went on today. And the blog will also send you links to the video, to slides that may be available, to pictures. And we will post that on Facebook and send it out on email and Twitter. Next up, we got Krista. She is our super duper tweeter. And she warns you, if you follow her on social media, you better like cats. Next up, Emily Olson is our finance person. She keeps our finances in order, and extremely important. And she'll be talking in a minute about a promotion she was running to help our organization out. Next up, we got Tyler. Tyler is a digital social media specialist here in town, and he is our special programs guy, and we have him do various things for us. Let's see, Jeffrey Powers is behind, the man with the coolest glasses in this room, the Google Glass on his face. He is somewhere waving in the back. He has 2 cameras going, and he will be putting the video together. He is from Geekazine. Let's see, where are we at? Lance, the owner of the great Yo's Cafe. They've been a great supporter of us. Lance is not here, I don't think, but he's our sponsorship guy. He's the guy you will talk to first for anyone who's interested in sponsoring. Renee, everyone is here because of Renee. Renee is our Eventbrite master, and if you got in through the wait list, you owe her a big, big hug. Next up is Tony Rodriguez. He's the boss, so he's awesome, and whatever he wants me to say about him. Tony has been to like 95% of Social Media Breakfast ever since it started 4 years ago, so he's been to most of them, and he's been around. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks.
Paul Stokes, he is our secretary. I don't see him in the room, but he is not here. Mike Walsh, hi. That's me. I am the social media chair for Social Media Breakfast, and I'm speaking right now. Bob Wydra is not here. He's our photographer. He is at home recovering, and we wish him well. Next up. So coming up, upcoming events. January we have Yum Butter coming. They recently did a successful Kickstarter campaign, so we will certainly look forward to hearing about that. They are a very interesting group and all the cool things they're doing with their product. Yeah. And as far as other upcoming events, we're still planning our docket for the year, so any ideas we are wide open to. Your ideas and creativity is what helps make this group flourish. It's just such great to see such great room here today, and bring them on, anything and everything. If you want to contact us in any way, just remember SMBMad, and you can find us on any site. So today, Instagram, what's the hype? I mean, we've all heard about it. We're all starting to use it, at least I am. Some of us using it longer, and some of us are truly specializing in it, and we look forward to hearing from Adam. So we have a lot of sponsors, and if you are one of our premium sponsors or you're with the library and Emily, feel free to come up and chat. Trent is with the library. All right.
Hi, welcome to Madison Public Library. Thank you all for coming. I just wanted to throw out a couple things. Our Twitter account at Madison Public Library is at Madison Library, correct? We have Facebook. And then I actually run the Bubbler program. How many of you know about the Bubbler program? Hey, sweet. All right. How many of you do not know about the Bubbler program? All right, keep those hands up. All right, hold on one more time. All right, I'm going to say those people know about it. So that'll be an Instagram in a couple minutes. So Madison Bubbler program does have an Instagram account. It's at Madison Bubbler. We also have Twitter, Madison Bubbler, and we have Facebook. So the Bubbler program is basically, we are trying to bring in all kinds of interesting makers. So anything from printmaking to beer brewing to 3D printing. So we have a room on the first floor called the Bubbler Room. You can stop in there. We have an artist in residence program in there, and we do all kinds of classes and workshops, just all kinds of stuff. So stop in there on the ground floor and check that out. We also have a media lab on the first floor where you can learn anything from video game design to Photoshop to animation to filmmaking. And we have drop-in open lab times. We have a lot of really nice equipment with cameras, and we're getting a sound booth soon, and we have microphones and all this cool stuff. How about that, right? Did anyone know that? Yeah. So first floor, check that out. In the back, media lab. It opens at noon today, so you wouldn't be able to see it. You can at least peek in there and see our giant green wall. That's a green screen. So we'd love to have people come to some of our classes, check those things out. I think this is a crowd that would be really into that with the media lab stuff. So yeah, check us out. I'll leave some cards and some info in the back about the Bubbler program, email newsletter. And we also do First Friday late night events. So things, we've been having about 150 to 200 people coming to these events. And we'll start back up in February with Hawks in Motion. So it's a free event. Four Quarter does drinks, and you come in 8 to 11 and have a good time and see some music or some kind of performance. We also are focusing a lot on the art stuff throughout the building. You've seen I'm also working on those programs. So that's it. Thank you much.
Good morning. Good morning. Wake up. No. So, how many of you are excited to be here today? Yay, let's hear it. Woo. How many of you are crazy like me and are excited to do your tax return this year? Nobody? So, I have cards back in the back of the room that look like this. For if you bring your tax return to me with a card like this, I am going to donate 10% of what you pay to me to do your tax return to Social Media Breakfast Madison. So see me if you have any questions after this. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
One more. Hi, I'm Colin Kroenke with American Family. We have two giveaways today. So those of you that have been with us before, you know the drill. I'll explain it to those of you who haven't. So we have two $25 Best Buy gift cards. One per person, got to be present to win. And tweet us, so tweet at AmFam and the hashtag SMBMad with your favorite holiday song. So you can be creative if you want, or you can just tell us your truly favorite holiday song. I wouldn't even mind seeing you make up some names. So tweet at AmFam and SMBMad with your favorite holiday song. 2 people will be drawn by the end of this session to win $25 Best Buy gift cards. And in the back of the room, if Chris would just stand up and give us a wave. We also like to give away catered lunch at the Dream Bank down on the square. It's our Dream Bank for you and 8 members of your team. So if you haven't dropped a business card or filled out a form to drop in there, and you're interested in coming down and having a chat with members of our social media team just about whatever's on your mind with social media and get a free lunch out of it, down on the square, drop a card in there. And then some upcoming events. If you go to amfam.com/dreambank, we have a ton of events. A lot of them are geared to small business owners, which me and members of my team get involved in. Just some upcoming topics so you know what's going on. Search engine marketing, YouTube and Vine, social media marketing, copywriting for digital marketing. So we have all kinds of topics going on. But I really want to have you mark your calendar for February 11th. Selfishly, Tom and I from my team will be presenting on how to win the battle for the Facebook news feed. So it's a topic that we're working on. It's a topic that's on a lot of people's minds right now, trying to figure out what's going on. My Facebook posts aren't being seen. So if you want to learn about how to win the battle for the Facebook news feed, mark your calendars for February 11th. Thanks.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, Colin.
Morning. Whoop, sorry about that. I'm Don with Charter Business. We're actually going to do a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card, and we're doing it the old-fashioned way with paper. But one quick announcement just to make. Charter's been known for being the fastest internet provider. Starting next week, we're getting even faster. Our lowest speed right now is 30 meg. Starting next week, we're going up to 60 meg as our lowest speed at no price increase. So our highest speed is actually 100 meg. Let's see. I apologize if I mutilate your name. We have Jennifer.
Jennifer from WEM. Jennifer Lace.
Jennifer. Actually, meet me in back and I'll get your information.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine. I just wanted to really quickly let you know, next month I'm actually going to be at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and we do a live broadcast every single year. So it's going to be over at tpn.tv. Of course, I'll have a live feed over at geekazine.com. And the more people we get on, the more our sponsors really help. And it helps bring money in my pocket, and of course all independent podcasters, which is part of the TPN family. So I'd appreciate it much if check out the cool technology that's going to be coming out for the next year. That's what the Consumer Electronics Show is all about. That's in Las Vegas. So thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
One final.
A few more.
Pure oxygen. One more.
Yes. Brian, there's 50 of you that owe Brian a big thank you. When we were giving away our tickets, we were giving away 200. And then during the day, we got a sponsorship from Brian and Pure Oxygen, and we added 50 more seats. So, thank you, Brian.
Cheers. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be a sponsor of today's event and bring together such a great group of social practitioners and experts from the Madison community. And I wanted to talk with you for just a second about a problem that we see starting to affect mobile social engagement. How many of you have looks like many of you have your smartphones and tablets. Raise your hand if you brought it with you today and you're planning to tweet or, keep your hands up there. All right, now, here's the money shot. Keep your hand up if you like typing your password into social login forms. Oh, that's perfect. Not a single, actually, let's do the opposite. Raise your hand if you dislike. This is the information I'm looking for. Raise your hand if you hate typing your password over and over into social login forms from your smartphone or tablet. Beautiful. Keep those hands high, please. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So, and I would suspect that I'm sort of looking forward to Adam's presentation today, and I would imagine some of us will feel compelled to link from Twitter to point to Adam's Instagram profile. And what is going to happen when you do that is for your followers, who aren't signed into the Instagram website, they're going to get that login page too. And so this is a common problem that's affecting not just Instagram. It's affecting Facebook links, it's affecting Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, all of the major social networks. And it has to do with, we would prefer to get into the app, right? If we're clicking those links, we'd like to get the app, please, not the social login page, thank you. But making that happen is difficult because web pages and app pages use different URL structures, and it's kind of, there's kind of a communication breakdown. So that's a significant issue affecting social engagement on mobile devices, and the good news is that there's now some technology that can help each of us tap into that app detection capability without being a tech guru. And it actually makes it as easy to use as a common link shortener. So I had an example here that's up on the screen. I might tweet this out, or Mike, or if you guys want to use this link. There's a link up here in this box that's using one of our app detection technologies, and what will happen is anybody who clicks this from a Twitter or Facebook link or wherever you click it from, everybody's going to get the experience they're expecting. And all of you who are, who have the app on your iOS or Android device are going to get the Instagram app open to Adam's page so that you can like him without signing in or follow his account. And so feel free to use that technology. And I guess the point is that if you think that technology like that might be able to help you be a better social marketer, or help increase your mobile social engagement, happier mobile customers, please see us at our table at the back, and we'd be happy to get you set up for free and make you an even greater social mobile rock star. So thanks so much, and have a great morning.
Thank you, Brian. All right, and a couple more sponsors. We'd like to thank our lawyer, Johnny Walsh from Apsley, who is helping us become a 501c3. Badger Graphics, they were responsible for your name tag. And John Mason is our photographer for today. Thank you for subbing in, and his pictures will be wonderful, I'm sure. We'll be posting those in an album on our Facebook page and as well as on our Instagram. And Melissa Carlson, thank you for your graphic designs on our banners and on our website. And is that everyone? Subtle Strauss, thank you for printing on the paper for our
Signs.
signs. That's signs and subtle. All right, hashtag for today, as always, SMBMad. You can use that not just on Twitter, but Facebook and Instagram now. And our speaker, and before I forget, Adam will be here for an extra half hour. We will be breaking at 9:30 for those that need to leave. He's going to do an extra half hour workshopping, sharing with us all the cool editing tools he has found and he uses to make his incredible pictures. So without further ado, presenting Instagram What's the Hype? Adam Senatori, take it away.
Thank you. Perfect. Thanks. Thanks for having me this morning. This is really cool. Been in Madison pretty much my whole life, but I don't really get out much here, so it's nice to meet a lot of you. And I'm also on the tail end of a chest cold / laryngitis, so I'll try and get through this presentation here without losing my voice. But who's on Instagram right now? Okay, pretty good. Who's an active user, meaning you're on it daily? Okay, so about half to a third, something like that. Good, because at the end of the presentation here, I'm going to try and do a live post to Instagram, hopefully around, we break at 9:30 for this? Okay. So I'll try and get it done. I'll try and get through everything and get done by, say, 9 o'clock. We'll hit post and see what kind of interaction we get. But anyway, a lot of you look familiar. I may have even flown with a few of you. I looked at the list and a few names looked familiar. But I'm going to actually switch screens and just go to my iPhone. And I've got an outline here that we can follow along on. I was in Chicago for the last 2 days doing a photo safari. So not for work, but I'll just go to a city and hunt images. I don't hunt, I don't have anything against it, but photography for me is kind of like hunting. Or fishing, doesn't make a difference what, but it's some strategy, some planning, and execution, pulling off the shot. That's kind of how I look at all my photography, not just mobile, but DSLR work. And almost all my photos are, I guess, kind of pre-planned and thought about in advance. But anyway, let's see. Let's see if we get here. Problem. You got it? Okay, cool. So anyway, I had a wireframe outline of what I wanted to present on today, and then as I was meandering around Chicago for the last 2 days, I just add these thoughts and tidbits of things to my Evernote file. So it's kind of gotten a little unruly, but bear with me here. We'll get through this. So real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on my background, but I think it is a little bit important to talk about where I've been and kind of how I got to this point, at least with photography. Like I said, I've been here since about 1977, moved here from Grand Rapids, Michigan. When I was 5, my dad moved here. He was an art director at an ad agency in Grand Rapids, and he moved here to help found another ad agency called Wellblig and Bestman, which he worked at for quite a long time, most of my life actually, and now he's a freelance art director. And my mom was an art history buff, so I grew up in a pretty creative household. Always doing arts and craft, messing around with film cameras at the time, and so it was a great environment to. I need to get a little closer.
No,
great environment to really grow up in. Creative environments are a wonderful thing, especially when parents are fostering creativity on a daily basis. So moved here in '77, went to Madison West, graduated in '91, and then went to the University of Wisconsin. And I'll circle back a little bit. I always wanted to be a pilot since I was about this big. It's pretty funny because I have a 2-year-old son now, and he, really without too much probing for me, he's actually taken to aircraft and flying, and he's always looking up at the sky when planes go over. So I wanted to be a pilot forever. I knew I wanted to be a military pilot, but I don't think my parents were going to have any of that. So I went to the University of Wisconsin. I don't even remember what my degree was. Behavioral science and law. It doesn't even exist anymore. But I knew as soon as I got the diploma, I was going to be gone and at flight school. So it was just, I got a degree. I had a great time at Wisconsin. I actually did do some film work there. But went to Florida. I can't remember, it was maybe 97, and got all my ratings in one fell swoop. So private pilot all the way up to flight instructor. I came back up here after spending a year in Florida, started flight instructing, and soon thereafter I got hired at a regional airline for Northwest, which is now Delta. And the regional airline I worked for went bankrupt. 99 I got hired at the airlines. I flew for about 7 years all over the country, Canada, most of North America, every corner of the country. It was an incredibly fun job, really stressful, and I was never at home. So I've always lived here in Madison. I've been married for 16 years, and so Madison's always been my home, but for a good chunk from my 20s till now, I haven't really been here that much. I just kind of transit through, do laundry, kiss the wife, go out and fly for another 5 days. That's how the airlines work. You're home for 2 days and you're gone for 5. So everything was going well on my career path, and then 9/11 hit, and it didn't impact me directly, but it definitely put the industry in a tailspin. Once 9/11 hit, airlines started furloughing, which means they started parking aircraft, and that means they need to start cutting pilots off the bottom of the seniority list. So I was actually getting pretty senior at the time. After 9/11, I started dropping, and the real kill shot was actually the fuel prices after 9/11. Everything that happens with the airlines or aviation in general is completely hinged upon fuel. So the fuel prices spiked. I think it was like 2003 or 4. And then I started dropping. I was a captain, and I dropped to first officer. Pay was cut, and then I started getting near the bottom of the list again. And at that point, I started doing some soul searching, because I knew that being gone that much, not making that much money, that I needed to find something else to do. And what happened was they started offering voluntary furloughs, which means you're not forced out, but if you want to take it, we'll hold your seniority spot, and perhaps in the future you can come back and resume. Well, I took it, and I never went back. I came back here to Madison and basically took up my old job, which is flight instructing. So I teach people how to fly. I've taught 82-year-old individuals how to fly, and I've taught a lot of teenagers how to fly. So coming back to that was obviously a big pay cut, but I like teaching. Teaching's fun, and teaching people, when they come in the door, they have no idea what a wing is, and several months later they're flying on their own is a pretty cool thing. So anyway, I came back here flight instructed, and I knew I had to do something else, so I actually thought, well, maybe I'll become a firefighter. So I went through training, hoped to get hired at Madison, the Madison Fire Department here, missed the interview and passed on the whole thing, so I didn't do that. Picked up a camera and started taking photos. Again, the question I get from everybody is, "Wait, you're a pilot, why, what's the bridge here?" Circle back to my childhood. I've always been creative, so that part of my brain it's always going. The other part of the brain that's more technical and scientific, for aviation, is there too. So I started taking photos and grabbing some small jobs here in town, and one thing led to the next, and I got some jobs with, I think, Madison Magazine, probably Isthmus, a few Wisconsin State Journal photos. I just kind of started nibbling away and getting some small clients and building my portfolio. I don't remember the date, but I was, as a photographer, was young and I didn't have a direction. I was a little I was floundering. I was at a presentation like this, and there was an attorney up here, and it was one of those aha moments where he got up and introduced himself, and he said something like, "Hi, I'm Bill, and if something blows up, incinerates, explodes, melts, whatever, that has to do with fire, I'm your guy." And I just sat back in my chair and I said, I need a direction with photography. I need a niche, because at that point I've been shooting interiors of restaurants, portraits, and I felt lost. And when he said that, I started evaluating, well, what direction do I want to go with photography? And I just thought, well, okay, I'm a pilot. I occasionally take photos out of the plane. Let's see if I can go in that direction. So that's kind of what happened. And now, to present day, now that's actually my niche, is aviation photography and aerial photography, and to an extent travel photography too, but they all kind of go together. Another note here, so present day, I'm a photographer and I'm a flight instructor, and I got this note here. I tell people I do photography 20% of the year, making 80% of my income, and flying 80% of the year, making 20% of my income. So right now I do maybe half a dozen big jobs a year, and then that's it. I hit my financial marks, and whatever reason the phone doesn't ring anymore, but and I come back here in Madison. I am a dad, and I go out to the airport and teach people how to fly. And I got another note here that flying is very important and requires, substantial amounts of time to stay current. It's not like getting in a car or riding a bike. I mean, it is motor skill wise, but knowing all the regulations and the nuances of actually flying a plane from point A to point B on a daily basis requires a lot of time. So this 20%, 80% thing works pretty well for me right now. Photography-wise, I had no formal training other than just my dad being an art director here in town. I was a lab rat, so I always went on photo shoots with him, and I spent a lot of time in studios here back in the day when photography was big. Still, commercial photography was. Skip ahead real quick. I think we should talk about mobile photography and Instagram's place in history. Okay, it's too early, in my opinion, to really say it's here to stay. But I've got a few stats here, and I want to just kind of categorize it. Where is it in photography, in the history of photography, and where is mobile? 1900. The Brownie came out, and that was really the first instant photo. Even though you took the photo, you still had to have it developed. And I have here their quote was, "You push the button, we'll do the rest." 1927, GE invents the modern flash bulb. That was big. 1947, the Polaroid land camera, model 95. If anybody's old school camera buff, they'll know that model. First camera to use instant film without getting your fingers all sticky and having to send it in or take it to a developer or a lab. 1972 is the SX70, the Polaroid. You push the button and the camera does the rest. Automatically ejected the photos, and they were developed on the spot. Edwin Land took out a folded SX70 from his suit coat pocket and in 10 seconds took 5 pictures at an annual meeting, which is pretty interesting because I have here in 2007, the iPhone was introduced by Steve Jobs at Macworld, and he basically did the same thing. I haven't read the book yet, but I've heard that Jobs was heavily influenced by Edwin Land, at least when he did his presentations. 2002 is where I kind of come in. Shot film before that, not medium format or anything, just I think 35 millimeter random stuff that you take to Walgreens. But anyway, 2002 I bought my first digital camera, which is a Sony DSC-U10 1.3 megapixel camera. I don't even remember where I bought it from because I think that predates Amazon and BH Photo, which is where I buy most of my stuff now. But 1.3 megapixels. 2004, another kind of important milestone in my opinion for sharing photos. Now that we have them in digital format in 2002, now we can actually put them out there and show them to people other than your friends and family, who, by the way, will always tell you that your photos are great. 2004, Flickr was launched, and some of you might be able to probably school me on the history of photo sharing on the web, but I'm kind of just going through my chronology of how I started sharing things. So Flickr, I already mentioned Steve Jobs. That was the first iPhone was a 2 megapixel camera. I remember it was pretty good, but it wasn't great. But at that point, 2 megapixels is a step up from 1.3, which it had. So mobile photography and Instagram can be considered disruptive technology. Maybe you guys have heard that term, and I know that you can get pretty hardcore into the economics of what disruptive technology is, but I'll just keep this simple. Meaning that that mobile technology has created a new market and a new value market, disrupting an existing market. So digital has disrupted print, film, and we saw what happened with Kodak. They went away. And there's a whole new market and a whole new network that never existed before. Let's just say Flickr, 2004, the advent of the internet in general, where you could attach files and pass them around. Mobile makes images transformable, transcodable, taggable, and transmissible anywhere, as long as you have a connection. Instagram positions itself as a hybrid of the Polaroid and the Telegram, so it leverages the connectivity of mobile devices with a really clean user interface. When Instagram first came out, I remember being pretty blown away by how simple it was to use. And I think, I'll talk about it a little bit down the line here, but I think that's really critical to its success. And I even mentioned way back in the day, I might have even blogged it or something, but Instagram definitely won the beauty contest, because at the time there were a number of photo sharing apps out, but Instagram won. Let's talk about some key Instagram stats. So anyway, before I go, in the history of photography, we know mobile's here to stay. It's big. The metrics on mobile are pretty astounding. So that's here to stay. Whether or not Instagram is, who knows? I mean, who knows how any of these social networks, where they're going to be in 10 years. They're definitely not, they're not going to look like this. Time will tell. I've got a few opinions that I'll share later, but it's tough. Instagram is a juggernaut right now. It's the king of the mountain as far as photo sharing and even actually social. I've got some metrics to talk about next to prove that point. So Instagram was launched in October of 2010 out in San Francisco. There are 150 million users monthly, half of which are daily users. That's a big number. I have down below that Flickr's at 87 million. Okay, so Instagram's roughly doubling that. There are 55 million images posted per day to Instagram, and Flickr's at 3.5 million per day. What is the difference here? I think the fact that Flickr, for the most part, is desktop based. It's a little more difficult to get images up to Flickr. I mean, I know they have an app, but it's not nearly as clean and as easy to use, at least for me, as Instagram is. So that's the disparity there, is the fact that Instagram jumped in as a mobile only app, and it won, like I said, the beauty contest. 1.2 billion likes per day on average. That's 8.5 thousand per second occur on Instagram. I follow a social media, I guess, blogger in Los Angeles. I think she works for CNET. She actually interviewed me once. But so I follow her, and actually I just saw last night, I pulled this into my presentation, I thought was pretty interesting. She reported that Nielsen has a report out just this week. They've done some research, and they have ranked Instagram 7th overall in smartphone apps. Facebook's first. Google owns numbers 2 through 6, and it's Google Search, Google Play, YouTube, Maps, and Gmail. Twitter comes in at 10th. And the report also says that Instagram's the fastest growing app of the year, growing 66% year over year. So those are pretty big numbers. My start on Instagram, so it began, what did I say, in October of 2010. I guess what they call it, an early adapter. There is probably no social network that ever comes out that I'm not clamoring to be the first one to join. I've always been that way, and I would say 99% of those apps, once I join, I never use them again. I never open them up. So Instagram is a perfect example of that. I think once I caught wind of it, so I joined it 3 or 4 months after it came out. I joined it and then actually didn't really use it for a while because it was a pretty small network. I couldn't find anybody around here that had it. So sharing was kind of difficult if you don't have any friends to share with that are using the app. So I think it's at latent for a couple months. And I got here, my user number is 152,721 out of, 150 million? So I was in the top 1% to join Instagram. So anyway, I maintained a stream on Instagram for about 9 months, and kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier, where I didn't have a focus really at the time. So I just shot random stuff. I mean, it was whatever, cans of paint at Sherwin-Williams. I mean, just random stuff. Wasn't going anywhere with the account. Maybe had 50 to 100 followers. Very little interactivity, and I was getting bored with it. So in October, I deleted all my photos. There weren't that many, maybe 30, 40. There weren't that many. Deleted them all and started over. So technically, my first post was October 10th of 2011. So it had been almost a year before I really actually started over again. Um, 2011, so then I started doing aerials. I had the kind of epiphany like, well, let's do something different. Let's niche. I fly almost daily or maybe multiple times a week. I fly in a Cessna 172, windows open all the way up. It's very easy to take a few shots with your phone out the window. It's not by myself. It's not that difficult, believe it or not. I mean, you would never do that obviously driving a car. But I've got 6,500 hours of flying, most of it in complex jets. So flying a 172 with my knees is not that difficult, actually. It's not. And again, you wouldn't do that with a car. But you know, if you have the aircraft trimmed up and ready to fly, it's actually technically the pure way to fly an aircraft is hands off, or just gently guiding it with maybe a couple fingertips. That's it. They should go, stay at altitude, stay in the direction without any intervention from you, if you have it properly trimmed for flight. So anyway, so I take a few quick photos out the window, and I posted them, and they got some pretty good interaction. I think at the time I still only had a couple hundred followers. They weren't going quite as well as I thought they would, and especially since I was paying money to make these things. I was a little disappointed in the engagement. Thought I was going to go in a different direction. Again, in that different direction was actually I was going to try drones. I ran into some technical difficulties with the drones as far as actually getting the camera to fire remotely. So I scuttled that idea. I can do it now because the technology's there, but back in at the end of 2011, it wasn't there yet. Kite photography was another one. So I was definitely hung up on the aerial aspect of things, but I was kind of getting a little tired of spending hundreds of dollars to make a few Instagrams and not really have the engagement I was looking for. So anyway, what happened was a fellow pilot, and he doesn't work at Instagram, but he was really influential at Instagram, still is. His name is Cole Rise, and actually he made one of the original filters for Instagram called the Rise filter. He saw one of my posts and could probably tell I was getting frustrated. I was going to go in a different direction, and he shouted out to me. At the time, he had a tremendous amount of followers. Even back then, I think he was well over 100,000 followers, and this is in 2011. And he did an aerial of the San Francisco bridge and did a shout out to me. So I was sitting at home one night, and all of a sudden my phone started blowing up with notifications that all these people are following you. So that was really the first key moment for me on Instagram. And you're going to notice a lot of these things there's a lot of serendipity here. I mean, a lot of it's luck, a lot of it's just being in the right place, right time. So I got into Instagram very early, the top 1%, right place, right time. And then a lot of serendipity, like starting with Cole Rise giving me that shout out, that helped. Shortly thereafter that, I think he notified, or somehow he's in the inner circle at Instagram, and he knows that the original 13 members very well. So word got through to them about my account and some of the aerials I had done, and Instagram did the first blog post ever on me, on my account. So they featured a number of my photos and then a link, and then again I was sitting there, Saturday afternoon, my phone started blowing up with more notifications that hundreds of people are starting to follow you. So it kind of took off from there, and then I said, okay, well, maybe I'll start making more aerials. Shortly after that, I won a photo contest that was sponsored by General Electric. And this ended up being not as big for Instagram for me as far as driving members to my account, but for my niche, which is aviation and supply chain. So I'm into aircraft, engines, factories, and then, of course, like I said, aerials and some travel photo. But when I won that contest, it was first-class travel to London and then to Wales, where they have a factory, to make some Instagrams for their account. And they were probably one of the first to do that. They were probably one of the that I can think of to actually infiltrate Instagram with their own account, and not only just have, host a contest, but to have somebody contribute to under their brand. There might be a few, but I'm pretty sure General Electric was one of the first companies to do that on Instagram. So I won it, and before I went over, I thought to myself, I got to make the most of this because there was going to be an ad agency there, and my portfolio at the time, aircraft portfolio at the time, was pretty skinny. So I said, well, let's go over there. I'll fulfill my obligation. I'll make you some Instagrams, but then let's do more. So I made a series of animated GIFs that kind of went viral. I think this was like very early 2012, of these different stations where these guys take these huge aircraft engines and break them apart. So I went to each station and made these animated GIFs, I think a dozen of them, and ended up selling those to them. And then I did a whole bunch of DSLR work of the factory, and then ended up licensing all that to them. And it kind of went from there. I'll talk about Instagram or my relationship with GE in a few minutes down the line. Oh, and then the next thing, as far as key moments on Instagram, my image was used in the second ad ever on Instagram for GE. And did anybody see that? No, okay. It was pretty volatile. I mean, the comments that I don't know if you guys have been watching this, but so I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But Instagram now has been incorporating ads into people's feeds, forcing ads in there, and it's not going over well. It's going over well, I guess, in metrics because there's a tremendous amount of likes on each photo that these companies haven't received before, like 1,000 times over. But the comments are pretty ugly. And again, I'm skipping a little bit ahead. I'll get to that in how to market with companies. But so lastly, I've been featured on CNET, BuzzFeed, Business Insider, ISO 50 Complex, Earth Hour, and a bunch more. So those all help too. But credit goes to Cole Rise because he, and I've shot with him before. He's a really cool guy. He's in San Francisco. He's young. He's like 24, 25. He's an awesome guy, and he started it off because I was ready to go in some different direction, and he noticed that and helped me out, and it took off from there. And also Josh Riedel at Instagram, definitely have to hit my hat to him. He's a community manager, and he's the one that blogged about me first, and so. Anyway, my thoughts real quick, and see it's 10 to 9, I gotta hurry up. My thoughts about imagery in general real quick. Images are my currency. I do this for a job. Fortunately, this is my hobby too. I mean, I do this I do this for free, I guess, but it's my business. So each one of these photos that we see here are kind of my goods. It's my currency, and I have this like, and I know, I'm sure some of you are hardcore economic guys again, but I think of like images as currency, and the more these things circulate around the world, the more in demand they are, the higher the value. Okay, I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but work with me abstract here. You can't put them in, you can't just put all your photos in one place, one bank, if you will. You got to spread everything around. And my goal is to have these things reverberate around the world using different platforms. Instagram is just one. And I have in my notes here, it's a brand extender for me. It's a big one, but interestingly enough, I think it helps get my name out, but I don't see a whole lot of, there isn't a lot of, my main emphasis right now and going forward is going to be my own site. I think personal sites are huge, and I think social media apps have kind of dissolved the importance of personal sites because that's where you can have things your way. So going forward, since the last half of this year and going forward, I'm actually starting to put more emphasis in my own site and in a way trying to drive all these different brand extenders back towards my site. I'll show you real quick. I am a brand. I try and do everything consistently. And let's put it this way, Adam. Here we are. So I maintain right now an Instagram account. This is my main website that I try and keep super clean. But I have most of my aviation-related photos here. I also have my travel landscape photos here. I was just actually in Dubai a couple weeks ago, so an assistant and I actually spent all of our off hours going around Dubai and shooting it as we see it. We also went down to Abu Dhabi. So I have that, and then I've also got a Tumblr, which I think does anybody have a Tumblr account here that they actually post their own content to, or they just yeah? Okay, cool. Tumblr is awesome. I don't think it should be ignored. It's well on its way. It's got a lot of money behind it now. So as you can see, I've actually just modeled my Tumblr basically same look and same feel as my regular website. So I'm trying to keep them synonymous, and that's kind of what I try and do to an extent with my Instagram. I know I can't control fonts and that kind of stuff, but I try and keep the same look. I don't. Some pro photographers, their Instagram, and this is fine. This is just me. They'll just have random stuff, but I try and keep everything the same because when I put my images out, I want them to be like, oh yeah, that's Adam's shot. That's my ultimate goal. Okay. I know it takes a long time to get that way, but so anyway, back to my notes. So Instagram is just it's just another extension of my brand. It happens to be a big one. I don't get a whole lot of actually I don't get a whole there's a link on Instagram where you're entitled one link. I have my website on there, and my metrics, my Google metrics show absolutely no click-throughs. It's pretty amazing. 630,000 followers, and it's like less than 1% on a monthly basis. It's really incredible. So nobody clicks that. Literally nobody clicks that button. So it's pretty funny. I almost live in an Instagram world where everyone thinks I'm just a mobile photographer, which I actually don't. I don't want to be known as a mobile photographer. But that's just how it is. It's this own kind of world that I think my name gets out there, but people like, I had no idea that you actually even shot DSLR. So that's why I'm trying to develop some other satellite websites and then drive them back into my website, into my own personal site. I am not a model Instagrammer. Okay, and I'll tell you why. My work is actually the opposite of instant. Every single photo I take is super deliberate. I think I'm actually slower taking digital photos than I would be if I was shooting like medium format, like 8x10. It's very slow, very deliberate. My assistant over in Dubai was like, he's like, I'm shocked. I've never seen anybody work this slow. So I will never be an editorial photographer. Wedding photography keeps me up awake. I can't even imagine doing that. I can't work that fast. So anyway, I'm not a model Instagrammer. My workflow is actually the opposite of instant. Everything is planned. I often storyboard shots, and so. But this, like I just said, this reflects my photography outside of DSLR. Not living in New York and San Francisco does not help. At least me. It does, but I think most of the emphasis is on most of the influencers on Instagram. Like Cole Rise and others that are pushing 1 million followers or 500,000 followers, they're all concentrated in San Francisco or New York. So I'm definitely an oddity. I know there's a few guys down in Chicago that are they're probably 300,000-400,000 followers, so I guess they're influencers. But in the Midwest, it's tough. My niche, aerials and landscapes, is poorly suited for one-to-one format or the Instagram square. Aerials look best in horizontal format. Actually, 16:9 is a good format for them. But cityscapes, which I shoot a lot of, is terrible for square. But I work with what you get. You get a square. Let's go on to tips for success. Despite the above points, I have found success on Instagram by having a concise bio. Let's start with the top of the Instagram app. You got a picture, you've got your follower count, who you're following, and below that is a bio, and below that is a link. My bio is pretty concise. I think it just says aviator. I've actually substituted my username is @Adam Senatori, but then you can have your real name below that. I actually swapped that out and put aviator photographer. And I think when people go through the lists of who to follow, they see that, and it's kind of compelling. It's short, and describes, if they go through my account, they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that's what he does. So work on your account or your bio, have it pretty tight and maybe eye-catching. I thought I turned notifications off, sorry. Anyway, maintaining a very tight edit is huge. At least for me. Again, this doesn't make me a model Instagrammer because I maintain a very tight edit in my photos, and I've posted close to 250. I've probably deleted over 100. I've deleted some photos with over 9,000 likes before because I didn't like them. I post it and then I see it and I'm like, no, so I'll delete it. So I maintain a really tight edit, not just on Instagram but elsewhere, and you can also see why I don't post that often. 250 photos in like 2 years, that's not that much compared to most people. I do the same thing on Twitter. Don't post that much. I try and keep things pretty concise and to the point. Everything is fast now. It's the opposite of going to a museum where you look at photos, you get involved in photos. You stand there and you can see brush strokes. You feel like you can walk into them. It's not that way anymore. My goal on Instagram is to stop people and slow them down, get them to look at photos, give them something engaging, provide value to your followers. I read once, I can't remember where it was, so I can't cite it, but I've adapted it as my criteria. Would a follower pay 10 cents to see one of my posts? What about 25 cents? What about $1? And it's obnoxious, of course, but it does, before you hit post, makes you think like, okay, would anybody out there be like, yeah, I see a post from him, but to see it, I got to pay a dime. I think that's kind of a good way to kind of maybe edit your own, and this goes for all social media. It doesn't have to be just Instagram. It can be Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Would somebody pay 10 cents to see what you have to offer? Draw the audience in, give them pause again. So my approach is to provide arresting images that make people stop, even if it's for a nanosecond. You go through Instagram, it's you just flicking with your thumb. Yep, cool. My goal is to just get that flick to stop for a second or two. I don't know if it happens or not, but maybe that's why I've gained such a following on Instagram, because I try and give my audience some value. I aim for very detailed images, everything in focus front to back. That compels the audience to study them, walk into them, and again, give pause. With aerials and cityscapes, it's really easy to do that because they're so detailed. I've got a few apps I'll show you later that help me get sharp focus and everything crisp. I don't shoot anything. I don't even know what anything below f/22 is. I like f/22 and above. That goes for everything. Sharp front to back. I don't like bokeh and all that. Avoid inconsistent posting schedules like splurge and disappear. I am a number one violator of that. I go on kind of Instagram binges and then I disappear. The reason being is because day to day here, it's hard. I do a lot of travel, and if you look through my feed, it's mostly travel photos and some aerials. So most of the upper Midwest shots I have, in fact, I think all of them are aerials of Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois. But other than that, if I'm not flying, if weather's bad for 2 weeks, I'll disappear because I don't have anything. I don't do latergrams, as they call them. I try and post everything, same day or within a couple days of the event. I went to Dubai. It was probably a binge for me because I was there for 2 weeks, and there was so much to shoot there. So my users saw a lot of activity. Then I was gone for 2 weeks, and then I was in Chicago, and I've got another full camera roll, so I'll probably go on a little binge again. But it's good because it makes me travel. It forces me to travel, like going to Chicago. It's very difficult to balance quantity, which is heavily weighed on Instagram, and I guess anywhere in social media, versus what I prefer, which is quality. It's really hard to achieve that balance, to constantly churn out quality images of value to everybody, and just do that day in and day out. Some guys are doing it, but I, like I said, prefer to maintain a super tight edit, and I don't follow that. So those two things kind of hurt my I guess presence on Instagram, and definitely the inconsistent posting and splurging is big. I notice I lose a lot of followers when I disappear for a couple weeks, like tens of thousands, because they want to see something every day. So that, I guess, makes them mad. keep track of your engagement, your content is getting, okay? Engagement equals user interaction with pieces of your content. My goal, and I mentioned this a little earlier, is engagement amplification. So I want to get my content extended through beyond me just hitting post. That's the goal. That should be the goal for everybody in social, right? So on Instagram, it's hitting the popular page. Definitely amplifies things. Passing 9,000 likes, I don't know why, but that definitely that amplifies things. And then, of course, being mentioned on Instagram helps. Either a shout out by another photographer who's an influencer or by Instagram themselves. That always helps. So engagement amplification is big. If you notice your posts are getting less feedback, examine the content and change up what you're publishing. Okay, something's not going right, and this is what happened with me when I started doing aerials. I was getting no engagement, and like I said, when I'm paying $200 a flight to make these, I decided I needed to change things up. Cole decided otherwise, and here I am. Keep Instagram photos where they do best, which is on Instagram. I never tweet my Instagram links, and in fact, I got a stat here. You're 42% less likely to be retweeted with an Instagram link. Instagram and Twitter are having like a feud right now, so it's not really easy. It's kind of disjointed viewing Instagram images on Twitter, so I avoid it. I don't think I've ever really tweeted my Instagram links. Facebook, I've done it a few times. I have a business page, but I also have a personal page. I've put a few on there, but they just don't get the interaction. So my opinion is keep Instagram photos where they belong on Instagram. That's where they do best. Timing of posts is huge. This is just based on my 2 years of making posts. I've found that Saturday and Sunday mornings and Thursday evening Central Time and Friday middays are definitely the most engaging. I've also found the hard way, avoid TV primetime, especially when the big shows are on. Breaking Bad is a killer. You will get no interaction if these big shows are on. Interestingly enough, I found that it doesn't apply to sports. So I guess Instagram users are not sports fans, but Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, you can get away with it. But do not go up against Mad Men, anything big, because you get no interaction. So Sunday mornings here in Madison and Saturday mornings are big. That's typically when I post. Thursdays are good, or Thursday evenings, are good, and Fridays, middays. I've gotten the most interaction. The rest of the time, it's kind of dead. And I'll show you in a second. When I was in Dubai, I did a test. So I was posting photos their time. They were 11 hours ahead. So basically, middle of the night here. And it's really interesting to see you get no interaction like through the whole day there. And then all of a sudden, you can tell when the United States starts waking up. Because all of a sudden, your phone will start going crazy when New York wakes up, when Midwest wakes up, and when San Francisco wakes up. It's pretty phenomenal. My assistant and I were both watching, like, yeah, no action on this, and all of a sudden just you can tell when the country wakes up. Most of my followers are here. I also found that out when I was over there. I think probably the large majority of them are in the United States. So posting in the middle of the night won't get you anywhere. Use hashtags. I'm a violator of that. I do not use hashtags. I prefer clean captions. This again, it's just me personally. They do work. 83% of posts include hashtags. They're a great way to drive brand development if you're a business. Fantastic way. Actually, really the only way to drive brand development if you're a business on Instagram is using hashtags. Participate or lead in an Insta walk. I don't know if there have been any in Madison, at least that I know of, but it's a good way to meet people. Don't ask for shout outs or help. Focus on your craft instead. I get my comments blown up with people asking for shout outs and help, and then I go to their account and it's like 5 pictures of what they ate. I mean, I will definitely give people shout outs, and I have, but you gotta work for it. I mean, I worked for mine, so, but I get a lot of comments for that. I think Instagram blocked the word shout out or something, so they're not as prevalent now, but they do occasionally pop up. Anyway, if you build it, they will come. So work on your craft, pick a niche, work hard on your photos, and you'll get noticed. With 150 million users, it's a lot harder now than it is when I started. I don't even know if I would be noticed now. Who knows? 150 million is a lot. So it's, anyway, marketing on Instagram. I'm trying to hustle here. 25% of Fortune 500 companies are on Instagram. Most common day they post is on Thursday. So again, I agree with that. Mercedes-Benz right now is the most engaged brand. They don't have the most followers, but as far as engagement rates, they're garnering the most interaction with their posts. Build fans, not customers. There's another one. If you are a business, focus on on trying to grow your account organically through fans and not trying to get them as customers. Instagram does best as a conversation starter, not a megaphone. And this goes for all social media. So the idea is to kind of draw people in, get them talking in the comments section or retweets if you're on Twitter or Facebook, and start conversations. And that's just going to lead to more amplification. And it's going to lead to more views on your work. Again, this is if you're a brand. Take it behind the scenes. This is a big one. And this is what GE gets kudos for. Show your fans the inside of your business. You don't have to give away proprietary information, but if you're a bakery, show them the line, show them how things are baked. If you're a factory or something like that, GE does a great job of that. They give me, and they use a number of photographers, but Noah Kalina is another one they use, but they give us free access to their factories. And I mean, we're looking at military engines, we're looking at, definitely proprietary stuff. I mean, they okay them before we hit post, but they gave us full reign, and they understand that showing their fans is pretty important than just giving them a really safe photo. Provide a human element to your company. Again, involve your fans by encouraging them to submit images using hashtags. Consider hiring a photographer within Instagram, like myself or anybody else, to take over your account for a week or two. That's kind of a big one. Is realize that, okay, maybe you don't have the assets to show your fans or your customers quality photos, so don't be afraid to reach out. And either hire somebody or ask somebody if they want to take over your account. That's real big. Mercedes-Benz is doing that a lot. All the car manufacturers are doing that now. They have people take over their account. How about working with brands here? I license images for Instagram as I would for any other media. This has been a big moving target for me the last couple of years, is trying to figure out how to license these things versus how I've been doing it in the past. Digital is reshaping licensing completely. It's obviously very hard to impose a one-year license on anything digital nowadays, because once it gets posted, it's gone. People take screenshots, they retweet it. I mean, you're not going to get it back. So I don't do any. I do everything digital lifetime license now. So print, 3-year print license is next common, but I would say it's 80% to 20% as far as licensing that I generate nowadays. I do some annual report work, but it's digital now. Because I have a large audience on Instagram, I attract a lot of queries from ad agencies asking me to work these various jobs for their clients. Most of them are pretty outlandish, and the in vogue thing now is ad agencies see large numbers, and they just start targeting all these people with large numbers, thinking that they can kind of take over our account. And I was just actually on the phone a couple weeks ago with, I'm not going to name them, but it's a large car manufacturer in Detroit. And their ad agency had this great idea, and it didn't fit me. It wasn't reasonable. But they want to use kind of my account, and I'm conscious of that, because people who follow me, they don't want to see me, I guess, completely sell out and be like a platform for these big companies. Even though, yes, I am for GE, but it does fits my niche, so I feel pretty comfortable posting GE stuff. But anyway, it's a slippery slope as far as kind of what's going on now, and brands trying to sink into the larger accounts on Instagram and use them as a platform to sell their message. I've also starting to charge premium if a company really wants me to put their product on my stream. Those licenses, I'm charging premium for that, because why not? I mean, if I'm going to do it, then I'm going to get paid for it. I pass on most of these offers. They're just not for me. Or for other reasons, but I've been passed on for a lot of things too. So it's a two-way street. I really want it to fit my brand again. I want it to fit travel aviation, so that's why car manufacturers aren't the best fit for me right now, but maybe we can come up with some concepts where we can blend the two. Okay, 9:12. All right, I gotta hurry. Mobile workflow and apps and editing. Here, these are just my more of my thoughts that I typed down in here. Selecting vantage points. So I use Google Maps. I use Google Earth to scout interesting scenes. I also hit Flickr or Google Images and see if I'm going to a city that I haven't been to. I'll definitely scout it out first online and go, okay, that's going to be worth my time. Otherwise, you're just going to run around chasing your tail when you have limited time in some of these cities. So I was in Paris in June. I hit the ground, got off the plane, dropped my bags, and within like an hour and a half, I was on top of the Arc de Triomphe. And an hour and a half later than that, I was on top of Eiffel Tower. In Dubai, I was also on top of the Burj Khalifa. And I scouted all of that. Pro tip, if you want to go to some popular places to shoot, check out buying tickets beforehand, because all these three, Eiffel Tower, Arc de Triomphe, and the Burj, you can stand in line for hours, but most of them offer passes. If you buy online, you just show up with a pass, get right to the top, save time. Image capture on the iPhone, can't speak for the other devices because I don't know, but on the iPhone, I always use HDR mode. HDR mode makes everybody cringe, I know, but actually on the iPhone, it's not as HDR as you think. It's very subtle. It helps me get my images sharp. I also use square mode, so on the new OS, you can move the camera over to square mode, and that helps you frame the shot a lot, at least for Instagram. Use exposure and focus lock on the iPhone. Stabilize your shot if possible. Use iPhone mounts and tripods. I got one I'll show you if anybody wants to see afterwards. It's real small, fits in your pocket, works well. Captions, be creative, make people think. Some of my captions are very cryptic. They mean a lot to me, but they probably don't mean anything to anybody else. But again, make them stop for a second. That's what it's all about. Get that thumb to slow down swiping through your stream. So if you see this kind of weird caption, they'll at least pause for a second and go, what the hell is that? Post-production. Most popular filter on Instagram is no filter. I make my own filters. I'm going to take you guys through it. Popular theory is that, and this is from some of my friends at Instagram, well, it's not from them, but they won't confirm or deny it, so I think it's true. If you use a filter to help you get to the popular page, one of their filters. I don't use any of their filters anymore. I used to use Rise filter and Early Bird a lot back in the day, but I don't do any of those anymore, so I make my own. I always work natively within the iPhone. For iPhone mobile photography, for DSLR, I use Lightroom and Photoshop. Apps are calibrated to work with iPhone and digital files. Photoshop is not. If I bring an iPhone file into Photoshop, my eyes burn. It's awful. I'm used to looking at 5D Mark III photos, which are gorgeous in Photoshop, zoomed in at 100%, and then I bring in, by accident, an iPhone file, and it's brutal. So I always do all my editing in phone using a few apps, and right now, I got 15 minutes. I'm out of breath. Live image walkthrough. Okay, so here, hopefully this works. We're gonna go, boom. So I'm gonna try in 15 minutes, we're gonna do a live post. At the end, 9:30 we'll hit live, or we'll hit post and see what happens. So first thing I do is I go to, my first app is ViscoCam, okay? ViscoCam is, it's great. They make it for Lightroom and Photoshop, but they've also done a great job calibrating that same program for iPhone. It's really good, and most of the guys that I know who are heavy iPhone users use it to an extent as well. So anyway, I shot this yesterday at, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I used my iPhone on a little stand, and I put it up on the bridge over Michigan Avenue. There's a little concrete pillar there. Put it there, had my 2-year-old with me. He was making a mess in a puddle behind me while I was trying to make this photo. This is used. I used an app called Average Cam Pro. This is a sweet app. I suggest you use it. I'm not sure if it's out for Android, but anyway. So what it does is it averages a number of photos together and gives you one file. It's fantastic. You can make people disappear. You can make anything move. You can make vanish. So I'll use it. I don't like people in my photos, so I'll make city streets disappear with it. Cars disappear, so I can make Michigan Avenue look like it's vacant. So you just need to hit like 32 pictures. Actually, yesterday I used 128 pictures, and then I did a 2-second timer, and then it just goes. And it takes 128 pictures, smushes them down, and gives you one file at the end. So anyway, going back to my app, that's the result. So it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the water, you can see how it's a little blurred. And it works. I've done this in like San Francisco Bay. I mean, you can make the ocean look flat, which I like. I don't, for some reason, I don't like, unless they're really cool looking waves and water surfaces, I'd rather just blur it out. Makes it a little cleaner looking. But anyway, so I took this yesterday. Now it's in the Visco app. And what I do is, hang on. So you can pick any one of these filters, right? I tend to stick with Ks 1, 2, and 3. And then I also use S. These are all named after old school films, by the way. I use S. This one here, this photo, I'm going to use S2. I use all the S series sometimes. But anyway, S2, you can adjust the volume of that filter a little bit, right? You guys seen this okay? Yeah. Okay. And then what I do is I go in here, and then you've got your typical slot. You've got brightness, you've got temp, you've got contrast, rotate, crop, fade, all that stuff. I'll usually typically go first to temperature. iPhone produces a pretty cool photo overall. Their phones have always been that way from the first one to the 5S. They've always been a little cool, so I always bump temp up a little bit, like 1% or to 1. Then hit check. Contrast, I like the contrast of this already because this is an average cam photo, so it's inherently pretty contrasty. Brightness I'm fine with. I'll show you one more little tip here. This one's actually, this little skin tone thing is kind of cool, even though I never take photos of people. It's good for popping reds. So if you slide it to the right, it makes red look orange. If you slide it all the way to the left, it makes red darker red. So that's kind of a little thing I use. If there's red in my photo, I'll pop it using skin tone. There's sharpness here. This photo's plenty sharp. Saturation, I'll bump it maybe 1. One thing I want to note is with, of course, everything is in moderation, right? So we never go I never use full saturation or, so just very subtle changes is all it takes if you've got a pretty good file to work with, okay? 5S camera is outstanding. It's a really nice camera over the 4 that I had before this, 4S. So anyway, so we're done. Now, you hit check. I got a few more from yesterday. I think we're going to post this the Chicago River one, but there's some pretty cool ice flows going on at South Lincoln Park. That's another thing is I run a lot every day, and this phone is great because if I'm not doing aerials, most of my land-based photos are from me running. So I put my phone in a pocket, I'm running, I see something cool. I knew I was going to be in Chicago, so I did a 5-mile run along the lakeshore yesterday, and I think I stopped like 100 times because it was just... I love clouds. All my photos are cloud-centric, so it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. The light was good. So, but anyway, so this is my camera roll in Visco. This one here is pretty cool. Shot this yesterday afternoon too. All with my 2-year-old, by the way. He's I think going to be a great photo assistant. This one's kind of cool. That's Skydeck in Chicago. This actually is my son proving to me he's not afraid of heights. So I'm really glad. This was yesterday. When I saw this, he was there for like 10 minutes. I was thrilled to death that he's not afraid of heights. So maybe next stop will be flight school. Top on me. So anyway, I'm running out of time. I got to hurry up because I don't get this posted. Check. Let's go back to our photo. Boom. There it is. Okay. This is my last one. The last one I posted. So we're gonna hit export. We're gonna hit save the camera roll. Okay. It's weird doing this out loud because I usually just do this by myself. I gotta actually think through everything. I can do this in like seconds if I have to. Okay, now I gotta go to Instagram. Boom. Okay, and then I go to here. Okay. Then I select. Okay. I'm pretty happy with it. I can crop it now. Okay, we'll go like that. It's a little tilted. That's fine. We'll take care of it. The next up, see something. Picture my son eating pasta last night. Okay, so we're gonna go just a little bit of a straighten. I hate misaligned horizons in buildings. It drives me crazy. So 1.2 degrees to straighten it out. Done. I'm gonna ignore all these filters. Okay, I'm gonna go to next. Got to write a caption, right? So I'm gonna put average, AVERA, average Chicago. Chicago. And that's because I use average cam for this photo. So I'll put in brackets. Put hardcore users will know what average is because it's a very popular app. 128 shot. And boom. Okay. That's about it. I just kind of keep my captions sort of random and whatever. All right, so we hit OK. And then we go to name this location. I don't know if it's going to grab my geo. It should. So it's going to be Michigan. H-I-G-A-N. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to grab it. Maybe, maybe not. Nope. Okay. It should. We're not going to go with a, we'll just ignore it. Cancel. Tag people no. Add a photo map. I'm just going to turn it off because I'm not going to do it right now. And it is 9:23. So everything looks good. It took me a long time. When you hit crop on Instagram, the photo automatically goes up to the servers. So this photo is already there, and I figured something out. When I hit, a lot of times when I hit post, by the time I even lift my finger back up off the phone, there's already like 10 likes, which is amazing. I figured out, so I asked some of my friends that work at Instagram, and they told me that when you hit crop, the photo goes up to the servers, was already there. So when you hit post, it's already like, it's gone. So it's pretty amazing though, like just lifting your thumb up from the post button, that there's already like 10 people that have liked. I'm like, I don't even know how it got there that quick, let alone for them to put their thumb down and hit like. So it's pretty interesting, but the photo does go up. So there's, I think, some pretty interesting photos that get uploaded to Instagram that never get used, but people don't know that they're actually probably sitting on a server somewhere, so be careful. Okay, so I think we're looking good. If I was actually doing this post myself, I would actually copy this caption, go all the way back out and redo it, because right now when I hit post, it's already going to say like 6 minutes, which drives me crazy. So average Chicago 128 shot. This looks good. Now, before I hit share, okay, I'm going to do something here. To the first person in this room that can tell me in the comments, you don't have to like it, just comment in there, how many monthly users are on Instagram, gets a flight by me. So we'll go to the airport, I'll give you I'll be the pilot, you guys be the photographer. We'll do it in the spring. This time of year, it's cold opening these windows, so we'll do it in the spring, but I'll get your contact afterwards. I'll fly you, we'll go over the Isthmus, we'll go check out Devil's Lake. So if you're not interested in that, don't comment. But you gotta tell me how many Instagram followers, or how many users there are. I was gonna do the color of my shoes, but some of you probably don't know. But anyway, so here we go. Ready? 925, average Chicago, everything looks good. Share. Here it is. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see how direct messages are. 210. That's just the last couple days. I'm not sure about Instagram Direct. And initially I was pretty excited about it, but now I'm like just way too afraid to open any of these. Because I've seen some of my friends say there's some pretty interesting photos out there, so I just hit ignore all and they just go away, but then they keep filling up. So for me, it's actually not working because I don't know, like it takes time to go through all these people and see if there's actually somebody that I know. So I haven't done Instagram Direct yet. Cool idea, but I'm way too afraid to hit any of these green check marks. I don't know what I'm going to open up. So anyway, no, that's it. Do we have any winners? Raise your hand. Yeah, there you are. I'll see you in the spring. Yeah, we'll go over the Isthmus, and we'll go, I got a nice little flight that takes in Devil's Lake, the Isthmus. We'll orbit over the Capitol. We'll orbit over the stadium, that kind of stuff. If you live nearby, we'll go check out your house. But that's pretty much it. I've got this entire Isthmus canvas. I think I've got photos of every square foot of this Isthmus from all these different angles. But it's pretty picturesque. It's nice. Okay. So anyway, that's all I have. It's 9:30. We're done. I know I kind of ripped through a lot of this stuff, but I'm around for a while. I got nothing to do today, so.